you have made my job easier. Well, most respected Mr. Gautam Lahiri, or beloved Gautam, the President of Press Club Kolkata, Sangeeta, the Vice President, the Secretary General Neeraj, and Ma'am Haksar, and then Mr. Subramaniam, and Somin, and all other my senior distinguished fellow journalists. See, a journalist is not supposed to become sentimental, but there are occasions when people become sentimental because we all are human beings. What happens when you revisit your story after 35 years? Ladies and gentlemen, like any of the senior journalists, we have covered so many incidents and events, but all the stories do not belong to your own story. But there are some stories which you start considering your own story, that you become a part of it. Those of us have read Mark Tully's No Full Stop in India, where he says, when after covering a disaster or event or incident I come back, I always think that it gives me a headline. I forget the ones who have suffered or who have made it happen. So we leave those people whose story it is, and the story becomes ours, and we think that today I've got a first headline. Now this has happened with me. That was a Saturday evening, and I remember because I was getting my Sunday off, which is very precious at a very young age, but somehow or other I continued. But then there was a discussion, a meeting, and that was my first Saturday off and Sunday working. So in the Saturday afternoon, where else in the Press Club Kolkata, in the lawn, and November, you can understand we were there, and what we were doing, let's not discuss. But I had to go to two places. So that's why I left a little early. And while coming out, the television was far behind inside the hall. And I heard of that news that an aircraft was forced to be diverted. First thing first came to my mind is, now, which city it is, I'm not concerned because today is my off day. But I must think that the journalists of that city, they are going to have it a day. So they are going to have it now. When it will conclude, they will know. So I went to my aunt's place, and those days there was no mobile. So my family knew that I will be visiting my friend. But as soon as I went to my friend's place after my aunt's place, immediately a phone call came, and then I was asked to call back office, and then from there I took a cab and rushed to the airport, and I asked my camera persons to go and to bring multiple cassettes, because those days there was no DSNG, no backpack, nothing. But I knew that the story was going to be one of the most important stories of my entire life. Things were pretty different. Everybody was anxious. As you know, there is a laid down principle, laid down operating procedure, what happens at the central level and nearest to the airport where it happens. So the Home Secretary, Mr. Manish Gupta, was called in to lead, and they have to go to the ATC, Air Traffic Control, along with the DGP, to first-hand negotiation. And in Delhi, there is another group, crisis management group, they sit and they were connecting. They were doing the physical negotiation, and then they connect. The initial problem was a language problem. If so remembers, now he speaks fluent English. There was a huge faux pas. Nobody understood what was happening. Neither they could speak English, and neither Mr. Gupta and the DGP, I think Mr. Anshuman Gautam, somebody was there, could not speak. The first thing they said, okay, and there was something else also. They said that, okay, let me bring some Burmese knowing people. So there was one gentleman called Richard Chakraborty who used to work in MEA. He was there in the passport office, so all of us knew, and he was very helpful to the media. So he was called because he was posted in Myanmar, and people say that he was born in Myanmar also, so that's why he spoke fluent Bengali. And another monk, a Burmese monk from the Buddhist temple in Kolkata, there are several Buddhist monks are there, so they were brought in. Now people say that they took that time, they were buying time, they were trying to assess the situation. So that's why they said that, so there is a language gap, you wait, and we'll we'll have a person who could be an interpreter and all that. And obviously they were, losing their patience. But those people came, and the entire media were waiting, and suddenly we got the information there will be a press conference, which we never expected. We thought that there will be an informal briefing after the showdown would take place. Not that evening we knew it much, much later, that a group of people air dashed from Delhi. They were taking the positions to do something. But by that time, the local people, the officers could understand that there was nothing of that sort of causing any injury to the aircraft or to the people. They started realizing that the cause was something different. And they were trying to convince their counterparts in Delhi that look, this is something different. It's not a standard one. So don't get into all these, let them, and as per the law, we are the ones who are supposed to negotiate and give feedback, not these people who had come take the leadership in the action. So they were stalled, and the negotiations continued, and we were told there is only one demand, so please get prepared, and there was only one television channel in 1990. Most probably at that time present. I am not very sure, I have to check. So obviously, and I thought that people were facilitating the press conference. Sometimes what happens that you are driven out and then they were evacuated, rescued and things like that. But we were pre-positioned, micro-positions like a proper press conference. We thought there's something different. But later on we came to know that there was only one demand, that they should have a press conference. Then a bus of, then at that time they negotiated that some food to be supplied and they agreed. Unfortunately, the airlines who were supposed to, again there was only one airlines. The airlines were requested to bring food to that aircraft. They said, okay, we'll send it, but nobody dared to go. They did not go, the food did not reach. And the night was, on the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 1:30. But ultimately the food did not reach because the airline's crew who was supposed to take the food into the aircraft, they actually did not go, they were afraid. But the negotiation came at the final level. They said that there will be only one bus and Mr. Gupta, Manish Gupta, the Home Secretary, Chief Negotiator, only will go. So he agreed. He was an ex-army person, he agreed. Knowingly or unknowingly, he said, but he understood by them, they have understood that it's of a different kind of action altogether. There was nothing to do any cause of injury or loss to anybody. So they understood. And so they went. There was a DIG CID at that time named Rajat Mojumdar. He was a very daredevil officer. So he somehow got himself hidden into the last seat of the bus. He was not very seen. So he went there. The bus went. He was hidden like that with his AK-57 has just started coming in. And Mr. Manish Gupta came. The gate was opened. Everybody came. These two young gentlemen must be in his 22s. I was 26 and he was 22. They came. I still remember. See, did you see that round shaped soap? A moti soap or something, there used to be round shape of soap. Either it was a Buddhist statue of Buddha or a soap. Both. Buddhist statue and soap. And there was a handkerchief like that. And these days we all, when we travel, we all have our earpieces, earphones, ear plugins to listen to all these music and all. So there were some cables and wires. So they were carrying them. Later on we understood it. We did not know, but obviously they were not supposed to come with all these. But later on it was nothing of that sort. Only a soap or a Buddhist statue and some cables. So all the passengers and the crew members were evacuated safely, were given food, went back, and there were press conferences. Interpreters, press conferences. We were happy in this happy ending. I remember two lean boys, and I tried to get in touch with him all 35 years. And I knew that he is also in the media business. We have a senior journalist called Shubhitra. We tried to speak to him, but somehow or other it did not. But suddenly, as Sangeeta said, we came for a different purpose, and I thought that I must go back to my story. I must revisit my story. It's not the end. So demand was an international press conference, and that was my first story, which went to Asia Vision, to Eurovision, Eurovision to all over the world. That was only video, and I was feeling very happy. At 3 or 4 o'clock, we went straight away to office, tried to do a good job of the voiceover story, edited with a piece to camera. Those days it was not very common, and it was the first headline, and things like that, and it went to all over the world. That is my only story which went all over the world. Not that in all my career I could not do such a story which deserved as a proper news story, as a headline. Not that I'm visiting with Prime Minister and all, that's why it will go. I have done multilateral coverages, programs, meetings, but that stories went to different countries for a different reason, but this story for a different reason. So then what happens is you lose track, and then they were arrested and things like that, going on. At around 92, we heard that the trial was to start. By that time, the Chief Minister got changed, and I do not remember the exact date or the year, but it was a trial stage. Mr. Buddhadev Bhattacharjee was the Chief Minister by that time. And in the State Secretariat, which used to be Writers' Building, he used to come and go from his chamber, and all the journalists could stand and ask questions. So one day, when he was coming back from his lunch, I asked the question, "Sir, can I ask you a question which may not be relevant for a day to day, but we would like to know what has happened to these two boys." Generally, I thought that he likes me, for some reason or the other, but that day he stared and went straight away. I felt very bad, and all the other journalists, I lost my face. I said, why did I ask this question? But minutes later, the private secretary came out, and he was just asking in the corridor in Writers' Building. He said, CM wants to talk to you. Go. I went, I nodded, and he said, does anyone ask this question in front of everyone? Don't you know the repercussion of this question? Sit. The boys are well taken care of. They are in the safe custody of the CID, which call it the safe home. And the public prosecutor is a personal friend of mine. I was the state youth president of CPIM, that is the DYFI, and he was the district secretary. He's a personal friend, and I told them, please see that nothing happens to these boys. Please see. And nothing happened. There was inadequate proof. So he was acquitted. The other one managed to go out early. And where did they stay? In Delhi, and who gave them shelter? There are the Delhi journalists, they will speak, but they were there, to a place which we could not think of. But as Nandita ma'am has rightly said, it was not that what we actually mentioned, if the aircraft is diverted by force. It was not that act per se. It was just to draw the attention, and I appreciate a 22-year boy, two boys, how could they take that step? The courage. I still think that this is my story, and once I heard that, I thought I must come back, see him, revisit my story after 35 years. As a journalist, we always want to know what happens to my story. They have started operating a news agency, and they are for the same cause for which they were there 35 years before. And you know that the leader is not out, and she is not allowed to do whatever she should. And there is a very complicated situation, bilateral, internal situation, international situation, Rohingya situation. This is very complicated. And as Sangeeta has rightly said, that the Northeast is very close, you know. Whenever we go to Imphal, we try to go to more the beautiful candles, small candles we bring it if we go before Diwali's. Beautiful, small things which come, very small, day-to-day use affairs. And we are so close mentally, and Bengalis are especially very close to us while Rangoon. Sharat Chandra Chatterjee's novel is there. Many Bengalis settled there. And we still remember that all our families had small jewellery boxes of that wood of the lacs. That's a typical Burmese style. There were furnitures were Burmese style. The dresses were of Burmese style. There was a lot of influence as in the Northeast, in Assam and Manipur, and also in Bengal, culture, literature and all these. So we were grown up, we knew those cities through, the names changed several times, and but Sharat Babu's novel and all other literature. So as a journalist, I think today is a memorable day. I come back to a story which I consider my story. Yes, it gave me an international coverage, but I did not lead those boys. I was following them, and I salute them. That day we could not go close, but today I can hug him. Personally, I pray for his good health, because he needs to be there, not for Myanmar, but for democracy. For all of us who are gathered here, we have come for only one reason, that is the democracy. The understanding of the depth of democracy, the value of democracy. And we need to do it. The situation is very complicated. Country to country, military to military, people to people, inside the country, Bangladesh, Rakhine area, Rohingyas. But these people should be there and cause for democracy. As Nandita ma'am said, that we need to do anything. If we can do such an event in Kolkata, you can travel freely. I have also not used certain words. She is a lawyer, she could be protected, but I may not be protected. Sangeeta is very particular. She is standing that I should not put somebody into greater trouble. I am grateful to Gautam Da, Sangeeta and the Press Club of India for having me here. I have come here on my own, revisiting my own story after 35 years. I am grateful. Work for democracy. The same work still continues at the same level, even on the government. Thank you.